We'll start off with Mary the Kara from the Chizuk Shiur. It says like this. The Pasuk tells us, Hashem says that I see the pain that Klal Yisrael is suffering in Mitzrayim, and I hear the cries of Klal Yisrael. Yadati es machoyvov. I know their wounds, I know their pain. Then it says, Ve'ered lahatziloi miyad Mitzrayim u'la'loisem min ha'aretz, and I'll go down to save Klal Yisrael from Mitzrayim and to bring them up from min ha'aretz. So the lashon is medayik on the lashon of Ve'ered lahatziloi. I'll go down to save them. What does it mean that Ve'ered lahatziloi? So the aura is that by Sedoim there's also a lashon that the Rebbeinu Shalom says Ve'ered lirois, and I'll go down to see hakitzakosem habo elai. That is it like the cries that are coming up to me? So what's the shini haloshin? Why over there it says Ve'ered lirois, and over here it says Ve'ered lahatziloi? He says there's a very big difference. The difference is, Chizuk Shiur, is because when a guy is in a tzara, so then the Rebbeinu Shalom has to go down to see if the Kaviyachol, the Rebbeinu Shalom goes down to see if the cries that are coming up to him are the type of true, are the type of suffering, the way that the cries represent. He says, but when a Yid is in a tzara, the Rebbeinu Shalom doesn't have to go down to see the pain that the Yid is suffering, because the Rebbeinu Shalom is imi anoichid tzara. The Rebbeinu Shalom is with us throughout our suffering. The Rebbeinu Shalom is here with us, suffering together with us. So the Rebbeinu Shalom doesn't have to go down to see it. And that's what the pasuk says, Ki yadati es machoyvov. I know their pain. I don't have to go down. There's a different level of feeling with the pain and the suffering when a Yid is suffering, that it's not necessary for the Rebbeinu Shalom, the Shechina, Kaviyachol, to come down to see the pain, but rather the Rebbeinu Shalom, the Shechina comes down in a greater level to come and save Klal Yisrael. But as far as relating to the pain of Klal Yisrael, knowing the pain of Klal Yisrael, that's something that the Rebbeinu Shalom is living with us through the pain. It's not something that the Rebbeinu Shalom Kaviyachol has to come down to see the pain, because he knows already the pain. It says that Vayitev Hashem LaMiyaldis, that the Rebbeinu Shalom was mative with the Miyaldis. And what's the hatava that the Rebbeinu Shalom was mative to the Miyaldis? So it says afterwards, Vayir v'am vayatzum moed moed, that the Klal Yisrael was, they multiplied shaloi kederech hatava. So that was what was the payback? What was the hatava? By the fact that Klal Yisrael had shisha b'keres echad. So here's the women that went and they risked their lives to go and to save the children of Klal Yisrael. And there was a sakana, and they risked their lives to go and to save one child, and they came to the childbirth, and then there were 6 children. So what was the hatav of Vayir v'am vayatzum moed moed? You know, the Chazal tell us the schar mitzvah, that the schar of a mitzvah is another mitzvah. The fact that a person is zoichet to be ma'aseh nefesh for the Rebbeinu Shalom. So we think, okay, what's the big deal? The person goes and he's ma'aseh nefesh. There's many people that say about every little thing that a person does, serious nefesh. Yeah. It's a word that's used very, very freely. I know that the Moshe Shmuel Shapira once told a bacher, he said that there's a girl that has Mesiras Nefesh for Torah. He said, stay far away with the 10-foot pole. He said, because somebody thinks that marrying a Ben Torah is Mesiras Nefesh, das ist nicht Mesiras Nefesh, das ist the größte Glück in the Welt. But over here, the pshat is Rebbe Kiva says that he's waiting his whole life. When would I have the opportunity to be Mekayim B'chol Nafshcha. What's the big deal? Go be Ma'aseh Nefesh. It's such a shver zach. Go be Ma'aseh Nefesh. Why is he waiting his whole life for that opportunity? Yaakov Avinu, when it comes to the end of his life, and he's going to be saying Kriya Shema, he's showing this Mesiras Nefesh. The Torah says that Mesiras Nefesh is something that a person lav kol adam zeichel l'kach. You have to be on a tremendous madrega in order to be Ma'aseh Nefesh. And when the Rebbeinu Shalom puts you through an asayin, like the Mialdis were put through, that they had to go and risk their lives to go and to be Ma'aseh Nefesh, to save Yalda Yisrael, the Rebbeinu Shalom gave them a matana. And the matana was that they were zeiche not just to be Ma'aseh Nefesh for one child, but they were zeiche to be Ma'aseh Nefesh for many, many more children. That was the gresta tova that the Rebbeinu Shalom could do to them, was to give them that ability to be able to show them Mesiras Nefesh, for the Rebbeinu Shalom to reach a level of dveikus in the Rebbeinu Shalom that otherwise they wouldn't have been able to reach. Gewaltig. Der Bachon.
Dein Mesiras Nefesh.
That's right. Baruch Hashem, Bachon Chavim. You see that the Olam has a tzlocha shleika derech hateva. You wake up in the morning and mevaist a bissel.
Oh yeah, it's
nefesh you show a Mesiras Nefesh for the Rebbeinu Shalom. So you see that tzloch in the kollel l'mala miderech hateva. That's the gresta tova that the Rebbeinu Shalom shows us, that we have a chelik in the Torah of not just one kollel, but many kollel, and it's a straight Torah auf der ganze Welt. That's what the Mali Aretz Oisem says. Atimali Haaretz Oisem. Bnei Yisrael Poru Vayishatzu Vayibu V'Yatzu Moimot. We end off with a merdike cheshbon for a blazer tells. The blazer Gordon, he was at the forefront in the fight against the Haskola, against the Maskilin. So there was a maskil that was having Yadua, that they picked Chazalim, my Mori Chazal, that they didn't agree with. They would take up with my Mori Chazal, and they would say that this is something which is hard for a person to fathom, and Chas v'Sholem, Kaviyachol, Chas v'Sholem, that Chazal should say such a thing. So one of the things that the Maskilim had a hard time with was the Inyan Ashisha B'Keres Echad. It's something which it's hard to fathom, that everybody in Klal Yisrael was giving birth to Shisha B'Keres Echad in every leder. So they said that they meked it ois. They erased it from their Torah. But statistics is that's something which is Kodesh V'Torah, something that's Torah Misinai. If it's the statistics. So Blazer met up with this maskil, and he wanted to put him in his place. And the guy tells him this shtickle about the fact that Shisha B'Keres Echad is something is Leinitin Liyama. Can't say such a thing. So the Blazer starts telling him. He says, "You believe that there was people gave birth Shalai Kederech Hateva?" So yeah, that he has to believe. Why? Because they came down to Mitzrayim with Shivim Nefesh, right? How many people did we go out of Mitzrayim with? How many people? 600,000 men. 600,000 men, but from the ages of 20 to 60. Right? So if you take into account the ages of 0 to 20, and you take into account the people that were above 60, so you have to say there was at least 1.2 million men, and then you have to double that, for female. So there was 2.4 million people that left Mitzrayim. So they came in with 70 people, and in 210 years, they left with 2.4 million people. So he said like this. He said, let's say you say that when you see the minyan of the chayrim of the Yotzei Mitzrayim, you find something which is very interesting. The minyan of the chayrim starts with ben chodesh v'al. It doesn't start from 20 years old. It starts from 1 month old. And if you look at the minyan of B'chayrim of Yotzei Mitzrayim, there's only 22,000 B'chayrim. So he says, you do the math. If there's 22,000 B'chayrim, for the at least if you're taking the men, so you have B'chayrim, let's say the men. So you take the men and you say for 1.2 million people. So you have the cheshbons, you have about 55 B'chayrim. You have 55 pshutim, 54 pshutim for every B'char. So you have about 55 children. So he says in the times of Moshe Rabbeinu, we say Tefillah Moshe, the Yemeshin Aseinu Behem Shivim Shana, the average lifespan of a person in those days was 70 years. So he says if a woman lived till she was 70, how many times can the woman conceive within that lifespan? He says if you want to say at most, you say let's say 7 times the average. You're talking about 5 times, 7 times, right? Or you want to say 9 times? He said 9 times is I think 9 times he said 9 times is what's it called? That's the average amount of times that a woman could have 20 kids. If your lifespan is till 70. Till 70. So you're
supposed to have 20 kids.
Yeah. But if you first of all, how many mishpachos do you know that have 20 kids? Okay.
20, go up to 54.
Yeah. How many?
55 kids.
How many mishpachos do you know that have 20 kids? Okay. But you're talking about today. The average lifespan is people are living till 90. People are living till 100. So for that, to say that a woman conceives 9 times. That's that's already an extreme. It's not that's above average. But let's say you say 9 times. So he says if they conceived 9 times and they had Shisha B'Keres Echad, so then the statistics work out. It comes out that they had 54 children. So every single woman had 54 children, 9 ladies. That means that it's a Raya Brura that they had Shisha B'Keres Echad. When the maskell heard this, the maskell Pashat, he didn't know how to combat that. He said that this was a goyness from a blazer that put the guy in his place with his statistics. The guy Pashat he didn't know what to say, and he had to retract his Paitz Peh. It wasn't masking that it was Chazal. It was just Pashat statistics. That was a Raya Brura, Sheinol of Tshuva.